Hello, Year 7. I hope you are doing well and are okay. I hope you've had a nice half term as well. The weather has been really sunny and nice. I hope you've been getting some exercise. This term, we're going to be covering a brand new module which is called Systems Architecture. It's basically hardware and what makes up the computer, how the computer works. It gives you a nice little bit of inside knowledge on how the computer works. And then when we go back to school, we'll be able to build on this knowledge and look into it even further. So it's our first lesson. I would like you to write down some notes if that's okay. So if you get if you've got your class workbook with you, that is fantastic. So work through that. If not, grab a notepad and paper and pen and just write the notes down as we go. So the title today is Systems Architecture. And so let's get started. Well, before we start, what is a computer? Now, a computer, all it is just an electronic device that stores and processes data. That's all it does. It's just a load of circuits all stuck together and to process data and to store it. It's made up of lots of transistors. And by lots of transistors, I mean absolutely tons and tons and tons of transistors. And these transistors are basically gates. And so if you imagine a cow behind a gate, when the gate's open, it's a 1. When the gate's closed, it's a 0. Now, I taught you guys a binary module, and so you know how binary works. But these transistors are in the computer, and there's loads of them, and they basically let electricity through and not through. And so that's how it produces what we call binary 1s and 0s. When it's on, the gates open, the cows can go through the gates, or the electrons can go through the gates. And when the gates close, the cow can't go through the gate, so therefore the electron can't go through the gate, so it's a 0. Now, on this picture on the right, I've basically got the inside of a computer for you. When we go back to school, I will show you the inside of a computer in real life, but there's a picture just for now. So can you please write down these 2 bullet points on what a computer is? So pause the video, write them down, and then we'll move on. Okay, so hardware. When I say the word hardware, that basically means a physical component or a physical part of the computer that makes up that computer. So, for instance, I can throw it across the room, I can drop it across the floor, drop it on the floor. It's physical, it's solid, I can touch it. That basically means it's hardware. It's basically the machine's wiring and any other physical components of a computer that make up that electronic system. So, for example, you've got your hard disk drive, you've got your RAM, you've got your ROM, you've got other disk drives, you've got CPU, you've got your mouse, you've got a keyboard. So there's loads of devices that either connect to a computer or that are inside a computer. They're referred to as hardware if you can actually physically touch them and they connect to the computer or are inside. So can you guys please write down the top sentence on what hardware is? So just write hardware equals, and then write down a couple of examples. We'll be learning about all of these devices this module and see how the computer actually works, applying that learning from what we did from the binary module. So pause the video, write down the notes, and then come back. Okay, so the next one is software, and software is pretty much the opposite of hardware. You cannot touch it, you cannot drop it on the floor. It's not physical at all, and all it is just stored on a computer. It's lines and lines and lines of code. Microsoft Word has thousands upon thousands upon thousands of lines of code. So an example is Microsoft Word. You've got PowerPoint, you've got antivirus, you've got Minecraft, you've got Fortnite. Basically anything that you install on your computer, the operating system itself, it all comes under the classification of software because it's not physical. I can't touch it. I can't pick it up and go, oh, here's Microsoft Word, because all it is just code. So software, the programs and applications used by the computer. Can you please write down the definition of software? So software equals, and then write down some examples for me. Okay, so next up is an output device. So basically, these are external devices that connect to the computer. So for instance, I can connect what this left image here down here is called a monitor, or people refer to it as computer screen. That's also fine, but never just call it the screen, the screen. We're computer scientists, so let's use the professional word monitor. So this monitor connects to the computer and it displays information coming out the computer. So the computer like processes all of its ones and zeros and does what it needs to do. But when it wants to display that information to the user, we have an output device called a monitor that connects to it so we can see that information coming out. It could come out in the terms of sound. So then therefore it would come out of a speaker. That is also an output device. There's lots of output devices out there. You've got your projectors, you've got headphones, anything where sound or visual information is coming out of the computer, it's classed as an output device. A printer is also classed as an output device as well. So can you please write output device equals external hardware used to display or output data and information, and then list two examples, the monitor and the speaker. So pause the video and then come back. Next up, we have an input device. So an input device, again, is external hardware used to enter data and information into the computer. So basically, nothing comes out of a keyboard, nothing comes out of a mouse. You could argue that the light underneath the mouse, so you've got a bit of light coming out, but that light is not information. That's just a sensor. So basically, when I click on the mouse or I press a key on the keyboard, that information goes in to the computer and then the computer processes that. So input device is information going in, output device is information coming out. So it reads external hardware used to enter data and information into the computer. Can you please write this bullet point down and give me two examples? The keyboard, the mouse. You could have also got like a microphone, a remote controller, PS4 controller, anything what sends information in to the computer. So pause the video, write the notes, and then come back. Okay then guys, so we now have a task for you to do. And basically we've got a table just here which says input, output, and both. On the next slide, I'm going to have images of devices and I would like you to put the names of those devices into this table. So if a device is an input device, then you'll put it under the input column. If it's an output device, you'll put it in the output column. And if it's classed as both, because some input and output devices are classed as both, which I'll go through in a second, then you'll put it in the both column. Okay, so what I would like you to do, I'd like you to firstly copy this table down in your books or on your notepads, and then unpause the video and we'll have a look at the images. Okay then guys, so these are the images of the devices that I need in your table. So we've got a memory stick up the top and that memory stick is actually classed as both. This is because information can be stored on the device and information and that information can be plugged into a computer and sent into the computer. So therefore it's an input device, but it could be called an output device as well. So I could plug it into the computer and the computer can save files to it. So that's information coming out the computer. Therefore it comes under both because it's information going in and information coming out from the computer. We've got headphones, those are AirPods up there. We've got monitor, we've got speakers, we've got keyboard, mouse, headset, webcam. So that basically attaches to your computer and it's basically so people can see you when you're in Skype calls and stuff like that. Microphone, printer, and scanner. So microphone is scanner, is basically you put an image in there or a file and it will copy it across and send it to the computer. Printer is printing out information. Microphone, you speak into it. Okay, so I hope that helps. So put these devices into your table, pause the video, and then when you finish, unpause the video and we'll take a look at the answers. Okay, so these are the answers just here. We've got keyboard because that's information going into the computer. If we've got mouse, that's information going into the computer as well. We've got webcam because that's just literally an image. There's no screens or anything on that. It just basically sends video or lots of images to the computer. It could be processed as video. So therefore it's an input device. And a microphone, you speak into it. So that's sound going into the computer. So that's information going in. So therefore it's an input device. All right, now output device, that's information coming out. So we've got headphones because they've got a speaker, sound coming out. Monitor, that's information being displayed out the computer. So it's output. Speakers, sound coming out. Printer, information coming out the computer to a printer, which prints it out. And then both is the memory stick and the headset, because the headset is like a headphone, which makes it an output device, but it's got a microphone attached to it, so it's also an input device as well. Therefore, it comes under both. Okay, so our last task is to do an exam question. Can you please answer this exam question, and then we'll go over the answers together. It says, a railway company uses a computer terminal in the train station to sell tickets. So basically like when you're at Melton Mowbray station, that terminal just there. Customers input their destination using a touchscreen, pay by card, and receive a printed ticket and receipt. Describe 2 ways that the hardware in the computer terminal can be adapted so that blind customers can use it. So imagine somebody's completely blind, they cannot see the screen. How would you adapt that terminal on there? How do you adapt that ticket machine in order to accommodate the blind? So it says in the bottom right corner, it's 4 marks. So we're going to have to firstly say what you would change and then say why you would change it for 2 marks. And you've got to do 2 points in order to get 2 marks for each point. All right, so pause the video and then what we'll do is we'll go through the answers together. Okay guys, welcome back. I hope you've got down some ideas. There's lots of things you could change here, but the most obvious one would be the keyboard. Instead of using a touchscreen to type in, you could use what's called a Braille keyboard. And this Braille keyboard, blind people will be able to feel where the keys and what keys which to type in that destination, which would be really useful. Another example you can have is a speaker, so it can say the destination when you've entered it. You could also have a headphone port to guide you through the payments, so you can attach some headphones to the machine and you can go, right, okay, and it says like you've entered in blah, 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 the ticket price is this. Now, you would not have a microphone in this machine, because imagine when you're paying by card and it asks for your PIN, you're not going to go in a queue full of people. Oh, well, my PIN number is 1827. Then you've got about 5 people behind you knowing your card PIN number, and someone could push you over and steal your card. So you're not going to have a microphone in this one. There's a couple more answers, but just think whether it's realistic and whether it would be practical for that ticket machine. But the main answers here is a Braille keyboard, a headphone port, and also a speaker which says the destination you've selected. Okay, that's it for today's lesson. Very well done. I look forward to seeing all of your notes and stuff when we return back, whenever that will be. Have a great rest of the day, guys. I'll come back next week and we'll go over the parts inside of the computer. All right, thank you very much. Cheers. Bye-bye.